All right, everybody, welcome out to the Log Room Guys Craft Beer Show. It is Tuesday, June the 18th, 2024. Jersey Johnny coming at you. With me, as always, is none other than Mr. Beer Samurai. Say hello, Mr. Samurai.
Hi.
What are you eating this evening? As if everybody that watches the show doesn't.
I've got a nice cheese plate.
Oh, a nice cheese plate. Why do you have a nice cheese plate today, Dave?
It's to honor the cheesemakers.
Happy National Cheesemakers Day.
Mm-hmm. And I've got this.
That makes everybody feel better. It's National Cheesemakers Day. So you can eat as much cheese as you want today. It's okay. Go for it.
And then after you've eaten,
you're honoring them
as much, and if you've eaten as much cheese as you want, then you're not going to go for a while.
And you're not going to go for a while. That's true. Right.
And I've got
depends on the cheese you eat and how
Yeah. Well, I'm eating
certain kinds of cheese that have the adverse reaction to that.
I've got an Amish Blue, so
that's not right. Yeah.
No, I got the cheese I got is from Bobolink Dairy. I can never.
Bobolink Dairy.
They're out in Hunterdon County, New Jersey.
Out in Hunterdon County. I forget the name of the town, but yep.
Yeah,
beautiful Hunterdon County, New Jersey.
It actually is beautiful. You know, when you say beautiful, whatever New Jersey, and people, we're joking.
Oh no, there's areas in New Jersey that are not beautiful, but there's a lot more areas of New Jersey that actually are beautiful than the not so beautiful ones. But you could say that about almost any state. There are certain states that you can't say that about. And one of them will probably be talking a lot tonight about that state.
Well, almost every place is beautiful there.
Pretty much.
If not all of it.
Yeah, pretty much all of it.
Yeah.
So, by the way, it's also, if you want to put some cheese on your sushi, you can do that today because it is International Sushi Day. Happy International.
I did have sushi for dinner.
You did?
Yep.
So, and what better dessert after eating sushi than cheese?
Fish and cheese. Raw fish and cheese is
raw fish and cheese. I mean, so good.
And then just
can't beat it.
Just follow that with beer.
And you know what? What you should have done today is you should have both of them at the same time on a blanket outside in the park.
Why?
Because it's International Picnic Day too.
Oh, is it?
Happy International Picnic Day.
Not a lot of places to picnic in Union City.
Not so much. No. But I'm sure there's a piece of grass somewhere. Technically in Union City, sitting on a stoop is picnicking.
Possibly. We do have a little sitting area out the back of the second floor of the building.
Fair enough. That's picnicking too. Go for it.
We could picnic.
Now, I did not know any of these three until just a little while ago. Of course, Mr. Samurai here is the
daily observances.
Right. He's the
guru.
The guru. There you go. I was thinking of another word, but guru works. That's fine. There we go. All right.
Okay.
I am thirsty.
I'm very thirsty.
I'm very thirsty.
Between the sushi and the cheese.
I think we should. Yeah, exactly. Sushi and cheese will always make you thirsty for beer. So let's get that going right now. Let's bring our guest on. And then we can drink. There we go. Please welcome to the show all the way from Vermont is Mr. Dom Ditlefsen. Dom, how are you?
Fellas. Thanks for having me today.
Hey, Dom.
Sunny and scorching Vermont.
There he is.
98 degrees today, so I'm happy to be here.
98 degrees in Vermont today. When does that ever happen?
I grew up in the Northwest, so it's one of those things. Vermont's very similar in terms of the bipolar weather.
Right.
Like I could have sworn last month we were having that last little snowstorm, and then all of a sudden Mother Nature decided that 98 degrees was a good time for mid-June. But can't complain. Another beautiful day, paradise.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? It's better than if you woke up and it was 42 degrees and miserably raining out, right?
Yeah, or just in New Jersey too. That's another tough one.
Ooh,
all right. He just wanted to get it in. We were talking.
I had to. Just a little elbow. I mean, come on.
Hey. After we said such nice things about your state, but we're used to.
Hey, there is some not so nice things, especially nowadays up here. But thankfully, the leaves are going to start turning soon, so everyone will forget about all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
It's June 18th. The leaves are going to start turning soon.
You never know up here. I'm telling you. Vermont's a little bipolar.
You've got 4 months, don't you?
Depends on where you're at.
If you're
all the way up, I guess. Yeah, maybe.
If you're all the way up where they speak French.
Well, that's where he is. He's all the way up there.
Right.
You're about if you drive to the border, what are you about? Half an hour?
45 minutes, depending
45 minutes, yeah.
on traffic. Yeah, it's not bad at all.
All right. So what are you drinking before we get going, Dom?
Good old Fiddlehead IPA, the old
Good
faithful.
Old Faithful, Fiddlehead IPA. Gotta love that one.
Faithful Fiddlehead
Beautiful
IPA.
beer.
Something tells me
Delicious.
we'll see more of that shortly, but for now, what are you drinking, Samurai?
Well, I'm drinking something from their neighboring state, New Hampshire. It is from Schilling. This is San Jacinto Especial. So this is basically their Mexican style lager.
That is a nice glass.
Yeah, do you like that? It's a beautiful glass. I bet you wish you had one.
I do like that.
Oh, so just another subtle jab. I don't have one. I mean,
gonna
prep me a little bit.
You're a lot closer to Schilling than either of us are.
Fair. I shot myself in the foot there.
And when we were sitting at the brewery talking, where did I tell you I was going the next morning?
I don't want to talk about it. Now I'm embarrassed.
There's nothing better than sitting in that brewery drinking a beer.
Yeah.
Love it.
So
love it. But then again, I've not been to Fiddlehead, so that might top it.
There you go. By the way, there's the crawl. I forgot to put that up. There you go.
This is so damn good.
Is it? You mean, wait, hold on. Are you trying to tell me that Schilling made a good lager?
Believe it or not, Schilling managed to pump out a good lager. Yet again.
All right. Well, on that note, I am indeed drinking. I mentioned this to Don before. I did honestly try, stopped at 3 different places to pick up. I wanted to pick up a 4-pack of Fiddlehead IPA and a 4-pack of Second Fiddle. Everyone was out of it. And obviously there's a reason for that. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a little bit. But I unfortunately don't have any. Samurai is going to fill the void for that one, but as well as Dom. But I am doing the same as Samurai. I'm having a Schilling.
Wait a second. I need to drink 4.
You'll have to drink 4 of them, yeah.
Okay.
I'm drinking
Sure.
An Italian Pils. Was that Aosta? Aosta.
Aosta.
Schilling Aosta. Yeah, there you go. So, and I, had to put it in a Vermont mug there. So, not too far away.
I know that logo.
I just don't have, but I do have a Fiddlehead hat, so it's on right now. So there you go. All right,
that counts.
That counts. There you go. And I somewhere around here I have something from VIP too, but we'll talk more about that in a little while too.
Sounds good.
Anyway, all right. Well, cheers, gents.
Cheers.
Thanks again for having me on, fellas.
Absolutely. Thanks.
Salute.
Italian Pilsner is salute, I guess.
For you, I'm trying to figure out what Spanish is.
Work on that.
Anyway, work on that. I've never
work on that. All right, work on that. There you go. All right, Dom, let's crank this up. Here we go. So I'm going to ask you the first question we ask everybody on the show.
Absolutely.
Doesn't matter. At least the first time the person comes on the show anyway. So that would be, what was the very first that you can remember, to the best of your recollection, what was the very first craft beer you ever had?
Oof. First craft beer I've ever had, at least one that I almost.
And you're from the Pacific Northwest. So
yeah, really.
Yeah,
so
but realistically, when I was growing up, so I grew up in Oregon originally, and when I was growing up, all of my beer came from whatever my sister and brother felt like buying me. So I guess it determines on which you considered as craft beer.
Right.
I don't know if Mickey's malt liquor would be considered a craft beer, or
that's not even craft. That's
Red Dog or Ice House or anything like that. Realistically, I feel like I really got into craft beer when I came to Vermont in 2011 for college.
Vermont will do that to you.
It really was. I don't think I necessarily consider myself a beer snob, but definitely a little bit more pickier now, being in Vermont as long as I have. But honestly, I think the first craft beer that I ever had was Long Trail.
All right.
And that was
ale or
blackberry wheat. The
blackberry wheat.
Okay. Yeah. So I had a good friend locally that I'm still really good friends with, and he had bought one of the variety packs. And again, I feel like cheap beer is running through my veins at this point. My dad doesn't spend more than $3 on a beer, no matter what it is. So he's the type of guy I brought to Vermont, and he asked the folks at the restaurant if they served Old English. And I'm like, dude, who the hell? First of all, before we get into that, first of all, I'm like, what place have you ever been where they were like, oh yeah, we got a keg of Old English just sitting in the back? I mean, that was my first kind of concern with that question at a fine restaurant, but a restaurant nonetheless. But yeah, he got a variety pack, and I remember it had the Long Trail IPA, just a regular Long Trail ale, the blackberry wheat, and I want to say it had some sort of stout or something. And I happened to grab the blackberry wheat, and I'm like, okay, like that's not Ice House. You know, that's not
it's a Red Dog. It's not,
yeah, exactly. It's not, you know, my palate was a little confused at first. And awesome. Then from there, it kind of launched a craze and a love for just something a little bit different. You know what I mean?
Sure.
100%. You can always get.
We're very familiar with that.
Yeah. Right. But yeah, I would definitely say it was probably a long trail. And then from there, I mean, the rest is kind of history at that point.
Sure.
We are today.
So you didn't have any Widmer up in
Widmer Brothers. So that was in Portland, but again, like the tough part about kind of my journey in this whole entire thing is like, as being someone, you know, of age, first of all, 21, not like that ever stopped us, but being at that point.
I don't know what you're talking about. I never had a beer before I was 21.
Right. You know, being that, you know, I spent realistically that stage in my life in Vermont. I never really got to enjoy the Pacific Northwest, let alone Portland, for a lot of the craft beer scene that's made it as much of a destination as it is for folks that enjoy craft beer. So as sad it is to say, like, I'm so out of touch with anything Oregon at this point, and it's so weird to say that because I really realistically haven't been home long enough since going away to college, because you know, I was playing basketball and I was just so consumed by being on the East Coast that by the time I was of age, when I was going home, I was just pretty much there to see family, stick around for a couple of weeks, and I was right back shipping East Coast. And then that's kind of been my same mantra ever since. I mean, there's definitely some good beer there. You know, I think, you know, you'll see some Deschutes Brewing every now and then. When I am home, I always try to get something local, but I'm home every 2 years. And at that point, I'm right back to where I started, at Dad's house drinking a Red Dog. So, but at least some things are consistent. You know, there's definitely something I can appreciate about that.
Exactly.
For sure.
We got a comment here from Worldwide Beer Fest. It's Kat Reyes.
Speaking of Oregon.
She said, speaking of Oregon, she goes, it's the water. There you go. So
you mean the river running past the house that your house sitting right
now? The river running past the house in Oregon that she's sitting at right now. That's the water. So
if she's been there,
and maybe it's the Willamette River. I'm not sure.
I'm gonna say she knows what that Willamette looks like, and if she's been on it, she knows what's in there. So something tells me I beg to differ.
Right.
But it's crazy. You know, every time I do go home, it's wild to me, even living here in Vermont, just really how widespread the scene has gotten. Realistically, the last, I'd say, 5 to 6 years. I mean, you guys are both drinking, you know, a lager and a pilsner, and I feel like, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like those are, I don't know if they ever gone, but are they making a comeback?
Oh, big time.
Yeah, strong.
Because I feel like, especially here in Vermont, you know, everyone does a good IPA, right? There's very few breweries that you're not going to find an IPA that they put so much into, right? Resources, everything. Now, I feel like everywhere I go, everything is being pushed for a pilsner or a lager, especially Mexican lagers. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I swear there's probably 5 or 10 local breweries, Fiddlehead included, that are making a Mexican lager.
Mexican lagers are
they're delicious. I'm not complaining, but I feel like everywhere I go, I'm like, wow, okay, there's a Mexican lager. That's the first beer I'm having every time.
I'm seeing a lot of Italian pilsners as well.
Yep.
It's a big push in that, and also I think maybe even bigger. The Czech lagers are really they've swept across the country.
Too. Yeah, Czech lagers, and Czech dark lagers too. Are Mame Pivos. They're getting really big too. But yeah, no, you're right though. I think more than anything, like there's a lot of breweries doing really good Italian pills, Czech pills, and so forth right now. But yeah, you're right. I mean, Mexican lagers seem to be, anybody doing a lager seems to be doing a Mexican lager. Not everybody is doing a Czech pills or an Italian pills, but doing a Mexican lager, though.
Especially for the summer.
Oh, hell yeah. Absolutely.
Right.
So
I've never been so frowned upon to have a Peroni. You know, I'm having a Peroni and everyone's like, you didn't get this Italian lager. I'm like, I didn't even know there was more than one. I always just assumed Peroni was the Italian, you know, the lager that
I will have a Peroni. There's nothing wrong with Peroni.
Damn thing wrong with Peroni.
Right.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And we got a comment from Doug Smith right now. Doug Smith says, keep the lagers coming like champions in Boston. Yes, Doug, we know your Celtics won. We know this, Doug. Okay. right.
That's one of those things. I just wanted him to get it the hell over with. Like I don't really root for anyone in particular in the NBA. As John knows, I'm a big Eagles guy.
Uh-huh.
But with the NBA, what did I say wrong, Mr. Samurai? I saw
Did
you.
He said you.
I saw you took that one back.
Wait a second. You met the Boston College Eagles, right?
Yeah, that's what he meant.
Okay.
Exactly. Big Matt Ryan guy. Big Matt Ryan.
Okay, then we're good.
But yeah, no, I mean, for that, I was like, I just get it over with. There's nothing like Boston sports. I mean, I can't. It's just all my friends from Boston. They just have to remind you every other second. They're like the Cowboys in New England.
They are.
Get it out of the way already. Get it out of the way.
At least their gloating is more relevant than Cowboys fans gloating.
Oh man. If the Cowboys never won a single game for the rest of my existence, I would die a happy guy. I'll tell you.
Well, that's where the two of us agree with you.
That's our commonality. That's our commonality.
There we go, right there.
So have fun with Saquon for 4 games this year, and
Yep.
Hold on.
No, you know what? Yeah, he's getting off. He's just.
I'm done. I'm out.
There it is.
Oh boy. That's not Boston College.
Really.
I had that one loaded up and didn't think logistically about that one.
I know the answer to this because we've had this conversation, but tell everybody, or at least tell Dave and everybody else, why somebody from Oregon that moved to Vermont for college and stayed in Vermont is an Eagles fan.
Yeah, that's confusing.
Yeah. Madden 2004. Back in the
I
day.
know the answer to that.
Oh yeah, but my dad growing up, my dad was a huge Raiders guy, big Raiders, Lakers, Oakland A's. Recently found out he had a tattoo of the Kansas City Royals on his leg. Don't know what the hell that's about, but either way, big like LA sports guy. So my entire life, it has always been California for sports teams. So. Of course, in the Northwest, you have Seattle, and that was back in the days when they had the Sean Alexanders and the Matt Hasselbacks, and the washed up Jerry Rices, as weird as that is to say. Right. Yeah, Madden 04. I remember always playing against my older brother, and he always used to choose Mike Vick or some team with a running quarterback. And then back in those days, he was a cheat code. So I'm like, I got to find a team that has a running quarterback. And it's crazy to say is Donovan McNabb at one point in his career was a running quarterback, especially back in those days.
He was a running quarterback, except for when he ran into Michael Strahan. That's all I want to say. So.
Yeah, right. Or Teddy Bruschi for that.
Or Teddy Bruschi, absolutely.
But yeah, and then it just kind of one thing led to another, and that was definitely a good time to become an Eagles fan. They had, T.O., they had Westbrook.
It was a great time for the Eagles. I mean,
Andy
Reid was what he is with the Chiefs. With the Eagles, he just couldn't get over the hump with anybody. They were really good in 03, 04, 05.
I'm still hung up on this. Madden 04 is the reason you like the Eagles. That's like coming across 15-year-olds saying their favorite song is Stairway to Heaven because of Guitar Hero.
Yeah. I mean, hey.
And I'd be fine with that.
I must say, it's one of those things. And I was a football guy, too. I played basketball in college locally here at St. Michael's College, but football was definitely my first love from a sports perspective. So, back in those days, and I say it like, I'm ancient, but one of those things where like it just had that much of an impact on me because I played that game every day. It wasn't like it was just a once in a blue moon that I would flip on Madden. That was pretty much what we did.
Right. Just
like any other 11-year-old kid at the time is going to be doing in his off time in middle school is going to be playing video games. So that's really what started it, and it's been a very up and down tumultuous experience, but that's kind of the joy of it, especially to Jersey Johnny's point. Saquon for 4 games might be a little bit different though with people blocking for him.
Look, let me tell you. No.
Here we go.
No. I'm on your side. Make no mistake.
Okay. All right.
Make no mistake.
Are your fingers crossed? Put your hands up. Are you crossing your fingers? You lying?
No. Nope. You can't see the toes, but no, I'm kidding. No.
Fair enough.
No, seriously, no. I really love Saquon. I really do, and I hope he has a good career with the Eagles. I really do. I hope he doesn't get hurt. I don't want to see him get hurt. I don't want to see anybody get hurt. I really don't. Right. Except maybe Zeke when he was on the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Now that he's not, no, I didn't even want to see him get hurt. But when he was on the Cowboys, then maybe.
I'm looking around for Radio Pete and Harry Lovenuts.
I know, yeah, no. But no, they know this. I don't.
No. I mean,
You're on the sports business.
Am I on the wrong podcast?
This is the Get On With the Sports podcast right now. Yeah, exactly. But make no mistake, I don't hate the Eagles. I don't like the Eagles, but I don't hate the Eagles. I hate the Cowboys. Only team I hate. But
fair enough.
Understand this too. Once players aren't playing for the Cowboys anymore, I don't hate them. Right? Like if I met Emmitt Smith right now, I'd have a long conversation with him. You know,
this is beer.
I know. Oh, we're talking about beer. Oh, yeah, right.
Oh, and you know what?
Your second one. Fiddlehead IPA. There it goes.
Look at that. Cheers.
Is that how that works?
Cheers.
There it is. So to finish my statement, though, I hope Saquon has a long career. I hope he has a good career. I hope he doesn't ever get hurt with the Eagles, and I hope he runs for 1,200 yards every year, just as long as
they don't make the playoffs.
No. Because if it comes down to who's going to win the division, and it can't be the Giants, and I certainly don't want it to be the and it's certainly not going to be the Commanders. I should say it that way, right? So if it's coming down to between the Eagles and the Cowboys, I'd rather pick the Eagles at that point. So, it's that. But that said, if the Giants are relevant, Saquon can have all the yards he wants, just as long as when the Giants play the Eagles in the playoffs, they win. That's the only thing I'm saying.
Fair enough.
There you go. Let me throw up a comment we had from Kat. She just said, getting back to beer.
What's that?
This thing we're drinking, and I'm going to open my second one now too. She said, talking about the water in Portland. She said, Portland is fortunate to have two high quality drinking water sources: the Bull Run watershed and the Colombian South Shore well field. I'm on the Santiam River, nice and clean. She said.
Fair enough.
So, do you know the Santiam River?
Not really. Not really.
Gotcha.
Sounds
it's clearly cleaner than the Willamette.
Hey, I give it to Oregon. We did have delicious sink water growing up. I gave you that extra little push you needed when you're drinking from grandma's hose. So I definitely give it the credit. For sure.
I don't care who you are, where you grew up, what state, what town, whatever. All right. It's the same water. But drinking from a hose was so much better than drinking from a glass in a faucet.
You're not wrong. I don't know if it was like the amount that it was almost blowing your teeth through your jaws when you were drinking it. But,
maybe. Could be.
Could be.
It's just so much fresher for some reason. I don't know why.
Or maybe it was that scalding hot first bit of it.
Yeah.
Before you got to the cold part.
Oh, you drank that? I always let it run out.
You got to let it run for a little bit. Come on.
Oh, no. When you got older brothers.
No, you shoot that first bit at them, and then you drink
that's how you learn, because they make you like, oh no, just drink it right now, and then they turn it on and you get a face full of.
So Brian did that to you?
Yeah, I'm pretty certain he did.
Sure, fair enough.
I tell you, this beer, I love this beer. I remember the last holiday party we had at work. Myself and my boss, we showed up first because we're the biggest drinkers of the group. We had to make sure the bar was adequate.
Of course.
And I take a look at the taps at the bar, and this is in Manhattan. He goes, "What's good on tap?" I said, "You want an IPA?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "They've got Fiddlehead on tap." He goes, "I've never heard of it."
Oh.
I looked at the bartender and said, "Pour me a Fiddlehead." Bartender pours him a Fiddlehead. I think he had 8 of them that night.
Makes sense.
Along with like about 6 martinis, 2 Manhattans and 4 martinis. I don't know how the hell he got home. I don't know how the hell he remembered.
So he had 8 Fiddlehead IPAs, and then he had 4 Manhattans and 2 martinis.
2 martinis, 4 martinis.
2 Manhattans, 4 martinis.
The martini was first, then one more, and then the beers, then another martini, then some more beers, then Manhattan.
And then he finished with the Manhattans. Fair enough.
And then he finished off of Manhattans. Yes.
There you go.
But he actually loved this beer.
I love this beer, and Dom will tell you too. When I was talking to him, I was sitting with Dom at Fiddlehead about 3:00 in the afternoon on 2:00, 3:00 in the afternoon on a Saturday. The night before, I was in Manasquan, down here, New Jersey, and before we left to go to Vermont, and I had 4 or 5 Fiddlehead IPAs. Drove up, did our thing. Just wanted to go over to the winery first, so we stopped over the Shelburne Vineyards across the street, and then we came across the street to Fiddlehead. Walked in. We're sitting talking to Dom. What's the first beer I had? Fiddlehead IPA. So I had 4 or 5 the night before in New Jersey, and then the first beer I had in Vermont at the brewery was the same thing. So absolutely, 100%.
I'm sure it's better. I'm sure it's better at the brewery.
Of course, it was fresher.
Of course it is.
So on that note, speaking of fresh IPAs, I'm going to be a little homer here just for a moment. I'm drinking this one for my second. It's a brand new IPA from Coastal Brewer. Coastal Brewer Works in Red Bank, New Jersey. There you go. Anyway, Shell Collector. There you go. It's 6% New England with Nelson Sauvignon and Vista hops.
Vista.
Does
it also print business cards for you?
It does.
Okay, good.
It does.
That's a cool label. I like your label.
You like that?
I do.
Thank you. You'll be seeing it shortly in person. So.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
There you go.
Looking forward to it.
Shell Collector. But yeah, no, I Coastal. All of our names and labels obviously have to do with the beach or the ocean or the sea or something that's coastal.
Yeah, littorally.
Right. So, and here's the beer. In proper glassware.
In proper glassware.
So, cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah, you haven't had this yet, Dave, have you?
Mm-mm.
You'll have it on Saturday without me.
I will have it on Saturday while you're down in Atlantic City watching the those guys.
No. It's Justice Concert. It's Bare Naked Ladies. It's their favorite band. We're going down there. That's Saturday night, though. When you're at the brewery having the beer, I will be at the Seed drinking beer.
Ah, yes. And the building sandcastles. Will the new one be on while I'm there?
It will not. It's not getting caked till next week. So sorry. I'll get you. I'll get you some of the freshies next week, so that at least you're drinking it at the same time Dom's drinking it. Like he's not going to have the freshie before you do. There you go.
As you know, I love that beer.
There you go.
So kind of question for you, John, if you don't mind me asking. So,
go for it.
Do you guys So you guys have like a tasting room, correct, or some sort of?
No, it's tasting room, yeah.
What is your focus? I'm just very curious. I mean, because I hear you canning some stuff. You guys keg a lot of things. Like, are you really pushing for kind of like not necessarily? I feel like the word brick and mortar has like a weird connotation to it nowadays. But
Sure.
like, what are you guys really pushing for? Are you guys kind of canning what
we're doing more? We're doing more distro than we're doing taproom sales, and that's not necessarily by design. It's just that obviously you can move more. You can move more product out of the brewery than you can move through the tap room. Now, of course, we want to move product through the tap room, of course, right? Because obviously the margins are better. But I would rather, especially IPAs, right? I would rather move them all out, get them out as fresh as they can possibly be, and brew new ones and have them on. So, we're one way or the other. This is my philosophy. One way or the other, we're going to move the same amount of beer over the bar. Whether we're sitting on beer and not distributing most of it and having it age and sell, or we're getting it sold, brewing new stuff and getting that sold and brewing new stuff. One way or the other, the same amount of beer is going to move across the bar. So that's my philosophy anyway. Just especially IPAs. Lagers, yeah, I mean we can stall on them. We'll get some out, and they're slower movers anyway, especially with IPAs.
Right.
IPAs you can get out. Obviously, everyone's going to buy them. They're going to move.
Right.
They'll keep the light on beers,
Right.
But yeah, other stuff. We have a delicious Belgian Paters beer. So it's like an Abbey single, if you will. Huge flavors. Like if it were a triple, but it's only 4.2%.
Sure.
And that one can hang around for a while. That doesn't have to move right out, and obviously it's going to sell slower than an IPA anyway, but that's fine. Everything has its purpose.
John's an IPA is like the Red Roof Inn. It'll put the light on for you.
No, that's Motel 6.
Motel 6. There we go. Motel 6. It was a good joke.
I was thinking of any Red Roof Inn. I'm like, I don't know if they have a tagline like that.
Yeah, I don't think Red Roof Inn. They must have a tagline, but I don't know what it is. But yeah, Motel 6 will keep the light on.
Red Roof Inn. Mm-hmm. No murders in our rooms for the past 7 days.
Right. You don't want to go to one that has that counter to 0.
Oh no! I kind of wanted it at 0 because at 7 they're due.
Oh yeah, there you go. Fair enough. Yeah, there's a way to look at it too. There you go. All right.
And I was just curious because I've heard you say cans and you're kegging this and you're
well, we
canning
do.
this. I was just curious. I mean, obviously you guys do both, but
right.
I was just curious. I mean, also like, how much new stuff are you doing? What size are your tanks? If you don't mind me asking.
It's 20 barrel system.
20
so we're
barrels?
doing 20 barrels at a clip.
Sure.
So we're canning 65 cases every batch and kegging 10 barrels. IPAs because there's loss with dry hopping with IPAs, right? So you're not getting 20 barrels. But of like a beer like any lagers or a beer like Monkfish, which is the Belgian Pater's beer, there's no real loss in volume loss in the fermenter. So if we put 21 barrels in, we're getting 20 out.
Sure.
But with IPAs, with dry hopping, you put 22 barrels in, you're getting 16 out.
Sure.
That kind of thing.
Okay.
But anyway, so now we're and we sell packaged goods, 4-packs to go in the tap room too. So that's they're decent sales.
Gotcha.
But it's a good split. I mean, it's not like 80-20. It's more like 60-40, 65-35.
Distro that's not a terrible split to have. I mean, kind of where you guys are at. There's nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, it's fine. And how are you? I mean, look, your tap room's legendary. For me anyway, and for anybody that I know, and I've been in this industry for 18 years. So
for all of us fanboys.
Yeah. Like I said, and I've been in the industry 18 years. So, I mean, I'm working in the industry, drinking in the industry, I won't tell you how long. All right.
Fair enough.
But yeah.
I got him beat on that one.
Yeah. By
a year.
Thank you. All right. But in any event.
And 11 days.
A year and 11 days. But
if everything's legal and on the up and up.
That being said, your tap is legendary. How much product? I mean, what's the size of the system? All right, so we're getting into some Fiddlehead. Finally, 32 minutes into the conversation.
Oh, Fiddlehead Brewing.
Oh, there you go.
I've heard of that.
What's the brew house size now? Obviously it's the bigger space in back. It's not like the old tap room where it was switched because I mean, if anybody out there, and Dom can speak to this too. I mean, he's been at Fiddlehead for a while, but it kind of reversed, right? The pizza was where the tap room is now, and the brewery was where the pizza place is now, in that building in front. But now the brewery is in back, and it's a much bigger brewery. So, what's the size of the brew house in the back and the fermenters? What system?
Loosely, my knowledge, and surprisingly, as long as I've been there, I haven't really gotten the amount of time that I've wanted to actually go and explore. I've always had my hands full, with taproom stuff, but they've expanded to, I want to say the brew house is 10,000 square feet. They have several.
Oh, it's huge back there. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Massive. And they have several, I want to say they're either 50 or 100 barrel tanks back there, but most of it realistically is it's going to IPA from what I've been told.
Of course. Why wouldn't
the
it?
IPA, of course. And we hear it a lot in the tap room, like, when are you guys going to start bringing in some other options? And I'm like, okay, well, hey, first of all, I don't have master brewer on my chest, so I'm not the guy to ask that question to. But realistically, it's just one of those things where they've grown so much in the last 5 years, realistically, especially when COVID hit. That's really what birthed the canning of the IPA. Yeah. So before COVID, the IPA was really just a on-premise brand. It was really a keg only. That's how our owner and master brewer wanted the brand to be known as, not necessarily a package brand. Yeah. And that's what they were thriving in. And then obviously COVID happened and shit hit the fan, and everyone had to figure out what's next.
Sure.
That's what birthed the 4-pack of the IPA cans, and the rest is history. Mm-hmm. That really drove us out of that space that is now the tap room / pizza spot, to then building that brew house. Mm-hmm. And even then, demand, as you can see, you went to a couple of different liquor stores and you couldn't find it, unfortunately.
Tell her we said hi.
She's trying her best to sneak. But yeah, no, it's one of those things that it's been so wild to see, and that's not even just Fiddlehead. Don't get me wrong. I mean, just the Vermont craft beer scene in general. Kind of, the Alchemists, to name a couple of them, how much they've gone from these smaller operations to where you used to have to line up 2 hours before the trucks would drop off at the local city market just to get a 4-pack.
Sure.
And that's, the Lost and Sip of Sunshine. I mean, Fiddlehead, second fiddle. I mean, fan favorite here. What you used to have to do to get these beers to versus now in a short span of, again, 5 years, like that sounds like a lot of time, but in terms of growing the brand as large as they have, that's pretty quick.
Hell yeah.
Hell you know what I mean? It's just like it's now anywhere you go, especially I feel like most of Vermont brands, especially some of these other exterior breweries. Again, it was always so focused on on-premise business. I don't think many breweries even had their own canning line. They were always renting mobile canners, just running these short. People were hand labeling everything. Nowadays, it's like you go into any, gas station or whatever, and you can find pretty much anything now, which I think is wild to me, being that I used to be one of those guys fiending for just a 4-pack of Sip of Sunshine or a 4-pack of Focal Banger or Second Fiddle or even IPA 5 years ago, where nowadays it's so widespread. And that's not even in Vermont. I mean, you can go realistically anywhere in New England and I wouldn't say full East Coast, depending on how you define East Coast.
It's the same all over. I mean, the beer names and the specific beers may change, but the premise of what you're saying is the same all over. It doesn't matter, Right.
Well, it's funny because last year we took a trip to quick ride through Vermont into New Hampshire to go visit somebody in New Hampshire. And when I got into Vermont, we had to stop and fuel up, and it was kind of like a truck stop sort of thing. And John will tell you, I sent everybody a picture of the beer cooler. It was full of beer, of stuff that like we've all been like always looking for.
It's a truck stop with
how overwhelming. How
overwhelming.
It's
unbelievable.
It's so overwhelming. It's
ridiculous.
It's a great problem to have. Don't get me wrong. But like I'll go to a local spot. It's called the Beverage Warehouse, and they have
Beverage Warehouse is great. I love Beverage Warehouse.
And Beverage Warehouse, but you walk in there and it's like, oh my God, like there is just back in those days, I would just struggle and just end up grabbing like a Modelo or something. Nothing wrong with a Modelo, but like I'd show up for craft beer and I'm like, I am overwhelmed. Like I'm just gonna go get, Coors Light or something like that just to make my decision a little easier. Because it's like you're buying wine. You're just going off of labels at that point. Everything looks good, but who has the coolest label is going to get my business.
Exactly.
Well, you said the COVID really expanded everything. COVID, John will tell you, I moved to Rhode Island in COVID.
For pretty much
the whole lockdown.
From a month before lockdown till a month after lockdown was over, he was in Rhode Island.
Yeah. And
fair enough.
He moved to Rhode Island, lockdown's over, he moved back.
A local mead maker accused me of causing the pandemic and said I never allowed
No, I did too.
You did too. I'm never alled to leave New Jersey again.
The smallest state in proximity during COVID.
Right.
That sounds fishy.
But then the thing about it is, at first I thought, wow, Rhode Island gets the most amazing distribution of beer in the world. And it didn't dawn on me that it's because of COVID. Everything was being distributed. So I got back to New Jersey and realized
it's the same all over. Yeah, it's the same here too.
Yeah.
Well, it's because nobody was coming to the tap room. You
had to move your liquid.
You had to move it. So you're canning more of it and you're sending it out. You're distributing to newer states that you haven't been to before, and everybody. And then that's where the shelf space problem comes through.
Oh yeah.
But that's also where a lot of places saw. And this is fortunate for everyone. A lot of packaged goods stores saw the benefit of having more shelf space for craft beer, and they opened more shelf space up.
Yes.
So even though there's more brands on the shelves, there's more shelf space for every brand, especially local brands. And that becomes that leads to the overwhelming part, like you were saying. So if you have a cool label,
that figure stands out.
Telling you, it's an easy seller.
It's an easy sell, right? But anyway, no, you're 100% right. You're 100% right. So yeah, no, it makes sense that they're like, I thought they were 40s and 80s back there, but they could be. I mean, they could be big. They could be hundreds. They could have a I mean, they could have a 50-barrel brew house, I suppose, with a 50s and 100s. I thought they were 40s with a 40-barrel brew house and like 40s and 80s and 120s.
You very well might be right.
No. I mean, but that was literally speculation. I have absolutely no knowledge to it. It's just visual, right? That's for me. That's literally what it was.
Same thing with me. Is I'd run back there. I'd grab a little shipment and be like, okay, that looks like that size. Good enough. Yeah. Everyone back here looks pretty busy. Yeah. If I said anything, they might get mad at me. But it's like back to bartending like I'm here to do, you know.
Right. But it's a lot bigger, much bigger than it was when it was in the front building.
Oh God, yeah.
Oh yeah. It's night and day. Absolutely. It's ridiculous. Yeah. So I mean, hence the ability to send beer to all the states that Fiddlehead is sending beer to now. So, and it's just amazing.
And we're very happy to get it.
I will tell a quick story, and I know Dave wants to tell one too. And I've said this before on the podcast, but I'll say it because you haven't heard it. And stop me if you have, though. I might have told it to you at the brewery, but I don't think I did. I'm
a good sport. I'll let it go.
That 8 or 9 years ago, we had a blind taste test. We did a blind taste test with 3 beers. I won't say the other 2 beers, just for industry, you know.
What a guy!
Yeah,
I know what one of them
Integrity.
is.
Integrity. Dave knows. I will tell you after the show. But we did 3 beers, 3 very, very, very highly sought after double IPAs. Okay, one of them was Second Fiddle, and the other 2 were 2 highly sought after double IPAs. One of them, both of them, most everybody knows. One of them, everybody knows. I'll leave it at that for the show. Okay. Blind taste test. There was 12 of us. Okay. Poured 2 cans of each. So we each got whatever. 2
no
ounces,
math on the show.
Whatever.
You're not allowed to math on
3.5 ounces, whatever it was. Anyway. Yes, true. It does. Except on March 14th.
Yes. Where John recites the entirety of Pi.
I do. Well, I actually just put it up. I actually just put it up on the crawl. There you go.
I was gonna say, how long did that last? Holy!
I don't. I throw it up on the crawl.
It goes the whole show.
It goes the whole show. I best I got his 3 digits in the decibel. That's about as far as I go on that one.
But anyway, and I shit you not, 100% truth. This is not blowing smoke up anybody's ass. All 12 of us, the number one of those 3 double IPAs was Second Fiddle. Hands down. I mean, no doubt was Second Fiddle. The other 2,
that beer
right there. Most everybody else picked one. Like I think 11 of the 12 picked this other one was second, and the one that everyone knows and considers to be amazing was in 3rd place.
It was,
but I won't say which one it was.
It's only amazing because it was so hard to get.
It was so hard to get, right? So
and people make maps of it.
You could probably guess what it was, but I will tell Dom. I will tell you after the show. But Dave knows what it is.
Oh, I know exactly. I know exactly what it is.
Yeah. Anyway,
so here we go.
You are drinking your 3rd, and that is the beer we're talking about.
That would be Second Fiddle. And I have done likewise where I've done taste tests and put that same beer that we're leaving.
You both are making me jealous right now. I have to do something for both of you. Right?
I'm going to leave unnamed.
I love my beer, but I want that beer. So.
But I've done similar things with Second Fiddle up against a couple of other beers. And the beer that everyone thought was the best beer, because everyone talks about it, came in 3rd.
I mean, I must say, and this isn't me having any bias from being affiliated and working with Fiddlehead, but I feel like there's a difference between what they do, and I use this word a lot when I try to describe these beers, but like being overly palatizing, right? Especially when you start to talk about double IPAs that are a lot more hop forward. I think a lot of double IPAs have that issue, in my personal opinion, that you drink one and you are stuck with that flavor in the back of your mouth for 4 hours. something when I drink like a second fiddle or an IPA. I feel like Fiddlehead does a really good job at balancing that, where you can have one and then move on to something else in the night, and not be stuck with that flavor until the next morning when you're brushing your teeth. Or that night, I should say.
The palate wreckers that are out there.
Right. You know what I mean? Where it's just like, you have one 16-ounce can of it, and it's just like, oh my goodness. Like it's stuck.
And it's fun to do that every now and then, like getting Avery's the Maharaja and just tearing your palate to shreds for 2 days. Mm-hmm. And that's fun every now and then. But I agree with you. It's I love what Fiddlehead does with their beers. They're balancing their hops. Mm-hmm. People ask me, like, well, what does Fiddlehead taste like? It tastes like Vermont. So it's what it tastes like. And it's funny because it's a New England IPA, but it's got such a West Coast sensibility to it, because there is that pine, there is citrus to it.
It's an amazing, amazing beer, and I would love to make something that was close to it someday. But I know that even if we worked on it for a long time, we wouldn't be able to. We would be able to come close to it. So let's leave it at that.
This is.
But on that note, but I agree with you 100%, though, Dom. Seriously, that it's not a beer, even at 8.2%. Was that you, Dave? Was that?
No. It's someone over accentuating their sneeze to get attention.
Oh, I gotcha. All right. Tell him we said hi. Mm-hmm. All right. So anyway. Which we call at 8.2%, it's not a beer that's going to linger on your palate that long. So 100% I agree with it. And speaking of palate records, just want to put my third beer up there.
Uh-oh. What you going with?
District 96 collab with Two Villains. It's Ultimate Villain. It is if you look at the crawl right there, it's an 11.5% triple New England IPA.
Now here's the thing.
Yeah.
Dom, does Fiddlehead do a triple?
Triple New England. Triple IPA.
Any triple IPA at all?
So, no, we just started doing 19.2s in an Imperial. So,
what's the Imperial? What's the
ABV on it? 9 and some change.
9 and some change. All right, so it's not far off.
Yeah, so it's not quite, but it is an Imperial.
Mm-hmm. If you look, it's a triple. It's a TIPA, triple IPA. So it's 1 point. Look. I will be honest with you. This definitely does hide a lot of the alcohol. Are like Coastals, and I'm not trying to turn this into a Coastal thing. Coastal's Trojan Seahorse is 8.5%. It literally drinks like it's like 4.5%. So that's the scary thing, right?
The best problem to have.
Right. So this 11.5%, it does drink lower. It drinks like it's maybe in the 7s.
Was that a 16-ounce can?
It's a 16-ounce can.
Okay.
A triple and a 16.
Triple and a 16, yeah. So I'm not going anywhere tonight. When the show's over, I'm going to pour myself a bourbon and go out and sit on the deck and have a cigar. That's what I'm doing.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I thought you ate dinner first.
I'll eat dinner after the cigar. I need a beer. I need a bourbon and a cigar tonight. After I had a day today. Let's put it that way. But
you had a date?
Day. I had a day.
Day. Okay.
Right.
Just
so
you got to remember. You got to drink heavily again tomorrow.
I do. We're having
it's National Martini Day tomorrow,
and we're doing it's the eighth or ninth episode of eighth episode of the End of Chaser podcast, which is turning into more on that later.
It's turning into morons.
I'd love to know. I would love to know.
Well, I'll tell you about it. I just want to show Dave. There's my I pulled a mechanical class.
Mine's right over there.
Well, I haven't had it in a few shows, so
you haven't used your mechanical in a while. That's true.
Anyway, that's really good. It really is. Anyway, so my point is, tomorrow, as Dave was said, it's our End of Chaser podcast. It's the spirit and beer, right? Beer is the chaser, obviously. Tomorrow's National Martini Day, so we're doing martinis with that. But it's turning in Kat, who commented in the beginning of the show from Worldwide Beer Fest. Worldwide Beer Fest, Dom, and I'll say this again to anybody that is listening to the show that may not know this or didn't watch last week's show or didn't listen to last week's show. Worldwide Beer Fest is a beer fest. It's an online beer fest. There's podcasts and there's canned videos or pre-recorded videos aired
Live
all the
feeds.
time, live feeds that lead up to the event, which is at the end of March or beginning of April.
Yeah, it's like late March.
Late March, and
it's on National Beer Day.
It's on National Beer Day, and it's Worldwide Beer Fest, and it's an online thing, but it lasts all day. So,
okay,
Kat was on.
It's early April.
It's early April. I said it was late March, early April. Kat was on the show. We actually decided to do the same kind of thing, but for
spirits.
Was for spirits. So we're doing craft spirits. So we're doing the Artisan Spirits Festival, which is going to be on May 22nd every year, which is National Craft Distillers Day. And we actually just started this, so it's going to be an online craft spirits festival. But there'll be the And a Chaser podcast is going to be the podcast that leads up to it. There'll be plenty of pre-recorded videos and podcasts and live feeds and everything else that's done to it. So, and the next episode of And a Chaser is tomorrow night at 6:30.
Okay. And we introduced it on National Bourbon Day.
We did,
which is a day that's very close, near and dear to my heart.
Near and dear to both of our hearts.
Oh yes, bourbon is my jam.
Bourbon, yeah, there you go.
Ooh, I'm getting there. My palate's starting to develop a little bit there. I'm still getting. It's one of those things like I'm trying to appreciate, I'm not trying to look so much at price point and actually just try to look more so at flavor profile.
Flavor profiles, quality, everything else.
For me, like if I get into that, like my favorite bottle is a $25 bottle of Pendleton whiskey. I'll tell you that much.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
so smooth. And my fiance's dad's a big whiskey and bourbon, not necessarily a collector, but he always likes to get some new stuff. So when I go, I'm having Eagle Rare and I'm having Woodford Reserve Double Oak and everything where I'm like, that's a little bit above my price point. But I don't want to break his heart. And I don't think, hopefully he's not watching, but I'm like, I'd probably rather go for my Pendleton if I'm being honest. But
you know what? Everybody's
I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
I gotta be honest with you. You know what's a great bottle to grab? And obviously this is everybody's palate's different. And that's fine, but honestly, Buffalo Trace is not that expensive of a bourbon, and it's definitely a
just the regular bottle, right?
The regular bottle of bourbon Trace, Buffalo Trace.
Well, considering that Buffalo Trace actually distills most of the bourbons that you can mention when you're talking some of the best bourbons.
Yeah, I mean, Pappy Van Winkle comes out of the same distillery.
Not anymore. They had a break-in into the distillery, and the break-in only took Pappy Van Winkle barrels, which means it was an inside job to know which barrels to take. Pappy Van Winkle. This is why it disappeared for so long,
right?
Because Pappy Van Winkle said, "We're only doing it ourselves now. We're not going to have somebody else."
Well, but the recipes for Pappy Van Winkle and the barrels and everything else came out of the Sazerac distillery. And in Kentucky, and that's where Buffalo Trace comes out of. So
now the thing is, what you're talking about there, Dom, with your, you don't need to go all that high there. We know someone that would absolutely agree with it, don't we, Johnny?
Tom, 100%. Yeah,
Tom. So our other co-hosts on And a Chaser.
There's so many great finds, and you can find amazing bourbons, like Pendletons or whatever. You mentioned price point. You can find amazing bourbons that are even lower than price point than Pendletons.
And actually, this weekend, I discovered what is now my favorite gin, out of Craft Distillery, and I'll talk more about that tomorrow night. It'll be discussed.
And at some point in the near future, it may become my favorite gin. I just have to get the bottle that Dave bought for me.
it's sitting right there. I won't show it. I'm not gonna break the surprise on that one and the big reveal, but
exactly.
Yeah, so you're saying don't bring it to the brewery and leave it there without.
Oh yeah, he's like, can I bring? Because he's going to the brewery on Saturday. I'm not going to be there. I'm going to be down in AC. He's like, I'll bring it there and leave it there. I'm like, if you want somebody else to drink the bottle, yeah, sure, leave it there.
And is somebody else Matt?
No, Matt's not going to drink gin.
Oh, that's right. Matt doesn't drink gin.
Matt's not going to drink gin. I mean, in a nutshell, you could probably bring it there, but we're going to be driving down when you're driving up, so we can meet along the way. So.
Maybe we'll see. We'll have to talk.
We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
But the gin is an acquired taste. And you know what? And I heard this I think I just read this today, where someone said acquired taste. Acquired taste is basically saying drink it enough, and eventually you'll be held hostage to the taste and get used to it.
Right.
And someone said, "Oh, so we're going to call it Snackholm syndrome."
Stockholm syndrome. Yeah. You can do that.
It's like that's pretty accurate. But
I mean, I grew up in Oregon. I've been around enough pine trees in my day. I don't think gin needs to go on that list.
There you go. Look, I love gin, but here's the thing. I was always, for many years, I was always from April to October, I was a gin guy. From October to April, I was a bourbon guy. Right? That's shrunk and shrunk and shrunk. Now I'm all year a bourbon guy, but I like to drink gin from Memorial Day to Labor Day. That's what I drink gin.
While you're wearing your wet pants.
While I'm wearing my bathing suit and walking down to the beach over here.
Yeah.
So,
Anyway. But John knows I will drink bourbon year round.
Yeah.
Any day.
100%.
In my fruit.
I was at a function last Friday night. I had like 8 Manhattans, so I'm good. But I had rye Manhattans. I didn't have bourbon. I had rye Manhattans.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Extra spicy at that point.
Little spicy.
A little spicy.
A little bit of a punch.
A little bit of a punch. All right. Hey, let's talk about VIP. All right. You not only work for Fiddlehead, but you also
when we're done, I want to get back to Fiddlehead.
No, we'll circle back to Fiddlehead. Absolutely, we'll circle back to Fiddlehead after the top 3. But let's talk about VIP. You also work for Vermont Information Processing.
Yes, sir.
So let's talk about that. So have at it. Go ahead. Talk about it.
Yeah. So I mean, VIP. We are the leader in beverage software. So I'll try to give you the express version, realistically, of what we do as a company. But so we are pretty much a data management company for beverage companies. So you think, for example, you think of anyone that can put a liquid into a can, for a brewery, a larger brewery, Anheuser-Busch, randomly, just off the top of my head, or really any brewery for that matter. They need to track their logistical information, right?
When you say Anheuser-Busch, I have the same reaction when you say Eagles.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's like I think his chair actually saw something go like this. Really quick.
We'll say Blue Moon. How about that?
There you go.
So Miller Coors.
Not
dab Miller
Coors.
Okay.
So just in any beverage company, right? With the 3-tier system, they have to obviously sell to a distributor. Distributor then sells to a consumer, or a retailer. Then retailer then sells to a consumer, which is us today. So then to track that information, right? Because nowadays everything is so data driven, right? You can't really, in my personal opinion, especially working in this industry as long as I have on the data side, I always find it so surprising that people go without data to do their business in day-to-day operations, especially from a sales perspective. So we provide insight into where their distribution is, what's being sold, how much is being sold, who's selling it at that distributor warehouse, what's the price point they're selling it at, giving them various different levels of reporting, new placements, lost placements, rolling periods, kind of the list goes on, inventory from a warehouse perspective at that said distributor. So they can then plan accordingly or kind of implement their strategy with these distributors, right? So a lot of things that, we run into, or at least I run into in the department, in the field that I work into, is like helping newer brands identify really who they are, right? You have a brand that wants to come into the market and charge a premium. Say, hey, I'm so-called brewery. I want to charge $29.99 for a 4-pack, right? They see in the data that, well, actually, your distributors are having a lot of success at, say, this particular class of trade, say convenience store, or a class of trade that might not be seen as like a fine wine store, right? That really helps them realign realistically where they're at that current point in time and where to go from there. Sure. Maybe not spend so much resource and so much time in this certain class of trade. Maybe let's saturate that one class of trade that we have 60% distribution in across our 5 distributors, and let's grow from there. And that's just one example that I've run into working in my position. But it's really fun. I get to work with so many different types of beverage companies. I mean, if it's put into a bottle, you name it, I've probably worked with them before. And it leads me to, working locally at Fiddlehead, seeing how much they've grown. My first kind of entry into craft beer was with Magic Hat, and we all kind of, if you know Vermont, you know Magic Hat, of course, kind of how that all started, and that's kind of really what got my feet wet and kind of interested in just how it all works. You know, a lot of folks are unaware that they think, okay, a brewery can just walk into a store and say, hey, buy my beer. It's not that simple. You know what I mean? Like,
that's not how that works.
Oh yeah, that's easy all the time. That's how it works.
And they all always say yes.
Sure, bring it in.
Right.
Then 3 months later, it didn't sell. Take it back. Here you go.
Right. So it's one of those things where it's just like, we're giving them that insight to avoid that situation where they go in, they sell beer, and then they're buying it back from the distributor 3 months later, then trying to resell into that distributor, and then they know it doesn't sell, and then all of a sudden they're just in that reoccurring cycle, and then all of a sudden they go out of business. Right? So being in that side of it, it's super fun because you not only get to work personally with a lot of folks where, this is their baby. You know what I mean? Like, this is their, just like you, John. I mean, this is, Coastal Brew, that's your baby. That's
sure.
what that's what you're working in. And it really helps folks understand where they're at. You know what I mean? So it's like, hey, men lie, women lie, numbers don't, right? So it's like, hey, I'm looking here and we're this kind of brand. I'm like, well, I don't really think so. And I'm not saying that because I don't believe you. The numbers just tell me different. And we kind of provide that reality of where it probably makes sense for these folks to go with their current distributorship, right? If it expands into a more fine distributor where they might service, a lot of Total Wine and Moors or whatever it is, and you kind of want to shift towards that, then that's all on them. But giving them that information to make that decision, I think, is the really fun part about that, and getting to learn about the industry.
Yeah, because
that's kind of what it is in a nutshell.
Yeah, so many people get lost in their brand and their vision and what they think they are, that they miss the trends. And you guys, it sounds like you guys expose these trends to them, show them what's working for them, what's not working for them, and bring them into the reality and outside of the dream they had built it on in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and I think, that's a good point. And it's not like you're shutting anyone down by any means. It's just kind of like, hey, listen, like,
you're doing well, but when you're doing this,
you're doing well, but it's not in the area you think you're doing well in,
right.
Which isn't a bad thing.
Nope.
Because if you look at it from a distributorship, I'm like, hey, the distributors you're working with, you're looking at 10,000 serviceable accounts in that class of trade that you guys have 60% distribution in.
Right.
Why not saturate that to get 80%, and then maybe focus out on that extra 40% that even these distributors don't even focus on? What's the point? What's the point? You might get a sample buy, you might get a tasting, but other than that, what's the point if you're not getting a rebuying customer like the rest of these guys sitting over here?
100%. 100%.
You have this chain business. You go into an account and say, hey, look at all these chains that I have that are down the street from you with my product. This is real sales information. At this point, we're just filling orders. It's just you scratch my back, I scratch your back, you scratch your back, and then it's just a reoccurring cycle.
100%.
And a lot of folks kind of get stuck in that, I don't want to do that. Well, I'm like, well, and that's fine. You can do whatever you want. I've never sold a case of beer in my life. I'm not in sales, but I know how to look at the numbers, and I try to get folks to understand, like, hey, it might be smarter to look at this in this way, but you can look at it however you want.
Analytics are everything.
100%. And it always, it's crazy to me that, folks will.
Well, analytics are everything to profitability. And you do get some of those dreamers that really don't care about the profitability. This is my vision. This is where I want to stay with. This is what they want to do. Mm-hmm. Some of them still make it.
Right. Oh, 100%.
Some of them still 100%. Make it. But
it's just a matter of how small their footprint as far as staff goes.
Exactly. And they've got to keep their footprint small enough that they can sustain.
Right. That's it. That's what it boils down to. But if you want to grow your footprint, you need to grow everything around you to grow your footprint.
And you need the analytics, you need the numbers, and it sounds like VIP supplies those numbers.
Right. And like I also feel like a lot of times too, like we also help folks realize, like, we might have bit a little bit too much off the cookie, like they might have gone away from what got them there and said, okay, maybe we need to kind of wrangle things back in, kind of understand, okay, this is what got us here. Let's not success.
Those who fell in love, those who fell too much in love with the money.
Right. Well, it's just like, well, hey, we got these one or two products that are really paying the bills and driving it all. Let's now take all those resources that has brought us, and then now let's do 9 other different things.
Right.
And then they see the numbers versus that. They're like, oh shit. Well, it's probably not smart that we did that. And it's not too late to wrinkle it back in because they're getting that real-time data to say, okay, well, hey, maybe we should then shift our efforts back to what got us there and then kind of slowly start to expand from there.
That's all.
So overall, it just really gives folks to a realistic insight of where they stand from a distributorship perspective. Maybe not a self-distribution or anything like that.
Is it built on canned reports or are there customizable reports? Or
it's everything. Everything.
Really?
So we're getting distributor invoice level information. We're also getting anything where you can, I don't want to say manipulate the data, but you could say, okay, I now want to separate the data out to anyone invoiced in the last 30 days, but wasn't invoiced 90 days prior.
You're filtering the data.
Exactly. You can filter it however you'd like. You can create custom level reports. You can create on-floor inventory history. You can create unsold, where it's like, okay, what accounts have this but not this, especially if you're launching a new brand and you want to hit your partners that have your flagships. The list kind of goes on, and those are just a couple that, pricing analysis, you'll see out the door price for DTR information. Not DTC, obviously. We don't really maintain that information. What the retailer sell to the consumer, that's their business. But
the direct to retail is the
it's kind of a what you see is what you get at that point.
Right, exactly. We got a comment from Kat Reyes, not on Worldwide Beer Fest, but from her personally. Kat Reyes, she says
she watches on both accounts.
She watches on both accounts. What specific changes has VIP seen since the pandemic? I'll leave it up actually.
Yeah, I mean, a lot.
Plus, it's there for a little bit.
Well, since the pandemic, I feel like there's been definitely a big recovery in on-premise business that I've seen, especially a lot of the specialty, kind of more higher price point brands that you might have seen as an off-premise brand at a higher price point. They're really trying to push into on-premise accounts now that they can. So you start to think about, higher priced, bourbons or vodkas or whatever it is. They used to be these massive on-premise style businesses. Now they're kind of reflipping their strategies here. Honestly, we got even busier during the pandemic. I feel like it's one of those things to where, the industry in itself, people, as good or bad as it is, or it sounds like, people are always drinking. During that time, it's kind of like your college 15. Everyone kind of put on a COVID 15. Where like, hey, I walk into the beer aisle at the store, there's not a damn person in here. Like I can grab whatever I want.
Well, you got to remember the breweries, distilleries, and all that during COVID were essential.
Yeah, exactly. And kind of to her question there, I feel like the pandemic really created, as crazy as it sounds, a more overarching opportunity for breweries that might have not had that focus prior to the pandemic.
100%.
Right?
Absolutely.
So it's like Fiddlehead, for a prime example. Hey, we are a strictly on-premise brand. We're going to maybe rent a mobile canning line once a month, run 200, 250 cases. What you see is what you get, and then we'll see you next month. And that's what we're doing. But we want to sell kegs. That's our business.
Right.
And then pandemic happened, and the rest was history.
Right.
And I think that really shaped not only how Fiddlehead did business, but how a lot of other larger Vermont breweries ended up doing business. Kind of like what we were saying earlier. You can find everything we used to camp out for in every single gas station you look at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's really what drove that, is the adversity of, okay, how am I going to continue to grow my brand, to stay in business, pay my employees, continue to grow? Boom, I got to can my beer. So I think that was and it's so weird to say, but that was almost like a breakthrough for a lot of suppliers that really understand how to reach that potential.
Sure.
Might have been a little bit premature. I don't want to say that, they wanted to expand that fast, but I definitely don't think anyone's complaining. For sure. No. You know what I mean?
That's not for sure. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah.
So yeah, I think it presented a lot of unique challenges depending on what type of brand you're talking about. If you're talking more of a premium brand, where as it is, them sitting on a shelf is already a long time frame. You're looking at a 90 to 180 day shelf life on a lot of these bourbons, and that's on the plus side. To now pushing that to say a 360, like that's where it might get a little scary. To then shifting that focus now that the pandemic is kind of flushed out to where now we can go back to what they knew while also having the experience of this off-premise class trade that they kind of had to move to during that time.
Right.
So,
hey John, I felt bad for you that you couldn't have a second fiddle, so I poured one for you.
you poured a second.
I poured a second. So this is the second squared fiddle.
Second squared. No, it's second. Yeah, second squared.
Second squared fiddle. So I poured it for you, and because I'm a friend, I'll drink it for you as well.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Let me know how it tastes.
It tastes phenomenal.
I was drinking this and I realized that I should probably slow down on the sips because it is
wow.
11.5.
You're crushing a triple. I love that you're treating a triple like a session.
I must say that the boys inspired me. I have a salt with lime,
14th star
lager, 14-star brewery
14
up in
nice.
St. Albans, Vermont.
Yep.
Veteran known. Gotta love supporting them.
There you go. All right. On that note, I think it's time. I mean, we'll circle back to a couple of things, but I think it's time for our top threes.
No, I want to get back to. Hold on, I got to get back to. We want to get back to Fiddlehead.
No, we'll go back to Fiddlehead after the top three.
After the top three.
Yeah. We'll wrap it up with Fiddlehead.
Okay.
That's what we do.
No, it's not. No.
Well, that's what we do tonight, anyway.
That's what we're doing tonight. We normally talk a lot about the brewery, then we go off rails, then we do the top three.
We went off rail before we even started talking. So we just switched everything up tonight.
So you lied to him when you said it's all about you and Fiddlehead.
It's all about him. I didn't say him and Fiddlehead. I said him. So him. Yeah. So we were talking Eagles. That was about him. So there you go.
Stop saying that word.
So anyway, all right. Let's do our top threes. Tonight's top three is top three favorite Vermont beers, not breweries, beers, not brewed by Fiddlehead, because I think the three of us would probably have more than one.
This will definitely be on there.
It's gonna be on there. The top three favorite Vermont beers.
What you just said will then lead into what I wanted to talk to about Fiddlehead.
100%. All right, there you go. All right, so Dom, kick us off. What are your top three?
So, in no particular order, I would say Edward Hill Farmstead.
Phenomenal beer. Such a great beer.
That was the first beer that came to my mind was Edward, Fiddlehead Farmstead, and then I also do.
I caught that.
Okay. I'm not the only one who caught that.
Green State Lager, Zero Gravity.
Okay.
All right.
It's one of my favorite lagers. And then last but not least, I don't know if you're super familiar with any beers from Foam Brewers, but
we are.
Built to Spill.
Okay.
I would say number 3.
Not my hot wheelhouse, but yeah, great beer.
So Edward. I have a couple more written down here just in case you need.
You can go right ahead with honorable mentions.
You can throw some honorable mentions.
Keep going.
Dead Wax by Foam Brewers as well.
Okay.
Fruit That Ate Itself, Foam Brewers as well. I'm a big Foam guy recently. Foam has been doing a lot of good stuff down there.
What was the first one? Say them again. I'm sorry, I was typing.
Dead Wax. He said.
Dead Wax.
Built to Spill was my first one, but then Dead Wax, and then the Fruit That Ate Itself.
What kind of style is that one?
They're all doubles.
All doubles.
They're all double IPAs, but they just do such a good job, I think, at implementing the fruit flavors. They do a hell of a job at marketing, I'll tell you that much. Because when you hear juicy papaya and all the the fresh mango and everything in the actual batches, I feel like that's a big seller. And they're delicious. They're all 8.5% beers where they don't really drink like it. Right. Which is kind of a good and a bad thing. I make the old lady drive whenever you go to Foam, for sure.
Yeah. So a tropical mango papaya beer, 8.5% that doesn't drink like it drinks.
Sounds
I know where you're going. You said no Fiddlehead beers, buddy.
Anyway, all right, Samurai, yours.
First time I'll mention, and I have to bring them up, is Burlington Beer Company, only because they were one of the they were one of the labels that did get me through the early stages of the pandemic. One of the local craft beer stores that I could walk to had quite a selection of them. And the one itself that I liked the most was something called Ancient Power.
What is it?
Ancient Power.
Ancient Power.
Yeah, that's their Mexican chocolate stout. And what I loved about it is it had that nice little chili bite in it, especially when you warmed it up. When you got to get a stout to a certain temperature, and this one, once you got it up there, that cocoa, the cinnamon, and the chili really shone through on this. So that's one of the honorable mentions. It's really hard to put together a top 3 Vermont beers that are not Fiddlehead without it all becoming Hill Farmstead, right? Let's face it, Hill Farmstead.
I only have one on mine, and he only had one on his. So
I've only got one on my top 3, but when I get to my number 1, I'll throw some honorable mentions out because it's just basically representing Hill Farmstead. So I'll go to number 3
I'm only taking one honorable mention, so your Burlington Beer Co. is the honorable mention.
So my number 3 is Lawson's Big Hoppy. That's their black IPA. That was such a great beer. And that is one of those. It's one of those. So there's many different categories of black IPAs. That you've got the ones that are kind of smooth and don't hurt you so much, and there's the ones that are really just going to punch you in the face. Big Hoppies tends towards that punch you in the face there. And I think the reason it makes the list is because I was sitting in the 10 penny tap room drinking it. And it was my first time at the 10 penny tap room. And this is one of the legendary, beer geeks going to Mecca kind of thing. And for those who are in Vermont, it's just a fucking 10 penny tap room. For those that's not from Vermont, this is a pilgrimage for us is to make it to the 10 penny tap room. The food's good too. So, and that was on my way to Hill Farmstead. Stopped there, had the Big Hoppy. My number 2 is a foam. So, yeah, I'm a foam fan as well. Dead Flowers.
Dead Flower. Okay.
Dead Flowers to me is probably my favorite iteration of the New Zealand IPA. The New Zealand hops in this they throw that earthiness that they give, and it's just perfectly balanced with every other flavor in that beer. And I friggin' love Dead Flowers.
So would you say an IPA, a New England style IPA?
New Zealand.
Oh, I know, but would you say a New England style IPA with Nelson Sauvin and it would be like a New Zealand IPA?
I wouldn't actually.
Because
even though Nelson Sauvin,
I'm kidding. Go.
But Nelson Sauvin throws wine rather than the earthiness that New Zealand hops are mostly known for. So
I know. That was a joke. Continue.
A joke went right over it. I got it. Anyway, so number 1 is obviously Hill Farmstead. We've mentioned them, and Arthur and Sue. What is Enlightenment is just an amazing IPA because it's just John knows I love when you get tangerine out of your hops. But my favorite, and maybe again because I was sitting at one of the picnic tables out on their lawn, barrel aged Everett. And I've had Everett before, and I love Everett. But it's the porter.
Oh, okay.
Everett's fantastic.
It's a fantastic beer. And then they went and barrel aged the damn thing as if it needed anything else. And sitting there out on their lawn, beautiful green grass, the beautiful scenery that's out there, dogs everywhere. And I love it when there's dogs everywhere.
And he was one of them.
Yes. But man, it was so much fun, and that was just, it added to everything. And as well as we talk about it a lot on the show. A lot of times your impressions of a beer is also your surroundings, who you're drinking with, where you're drinking, what's going on around you at the time. So two of my beers on the list are because of where I was at the time when I drank them. But Barrel Aged Everett, that's a phenomenal beer.
There you go. All right. Great. Cool. All right. It's up to me.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm gonna give you my honorable mention. My honorable mention is going to be From Foam. And the only reason it's an honorable mention is because I just had it this year and they just brewed it this year for their anniversary. All right. What is it? 8, I believe, Foam. It's 8 anniversary, their 8th anniversary. It was Bizarre Celebrations. Let's Pretend. It's 8.5% double New England IPA.
They did a double IPA.
They did a double IPA. Foam did a double IPA. What? No, that didn't happen. So fantastic. But it's only made an honorable mention because again, it was new a month ago or 2 months ago, whatever.
Okay.
So my number 3 is from Burlington Beer Company. All right. And it's complicated being a wizard.
That's a really great beer.
I thought he was going to say Wizard earlier when he said it's Burlington Beer Company.
I thought he was too.
Beer.
I got to change my number 3. You know?
That's fair.
No.
That's fair.
I do love that beer, but I like the Agent Power better.
Yeah.
Well, you know me. I'm more of a stout guy.
You are. No,
See, I'm stout. That's because I drink too much.
Because you are stout. That's
yes.
why. Yeah, exactly.
You are what you drink, and I am stout.
100%. So, whatchamacallit? No, I was going to go somewhere. I'm not going to say that. So, 8. Anyway, 8. It's an 8% double New England. A fantastic beer. It's complicated being a wizard. Get it. If you haven't gotten Wizard from Burlington Beer Company, get it.
It's their number 1 IPA.
Yeah, it's fantastic, and there's a reason for that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. My number 2 is from Hill Farmstead. Okay, and it's an 8% double IPA. All right, it's Society and Solitude number 5.
I've had 4. I never had 5.
I've had 5. I've had 4. I've had 3. I've had 4. I've had 5.
2
I've had 6.
and
I've
4.
had 8. I've 9. Yeah. But yeah, 5 was okay. I guess Dom didn't like what. I guess Dom does not like Hill Farmstead.
He must hate Hill Farmstead.
He must hate Phil Harmstead.
Yes, Phil Harmstead.
You got that before.
That was awesome. Who's this Phil Harmstead?
Who is Phil Harmstead? I don't know.
I'm gonna make a Facebook profile for Phil Harmstead.
I thought you didn't like Society and Solitude. I thought you were,
my goodness. I was enjoying the conversation and my internet just said, nah, we're sorry about that, fellas.
Internet said, fuck you, Don.
I missed number. It really did. I was just sitting there enjoying conversation. All of a sudden it was like, can't connect.
So you heard my number 2, Hill Farmstead, Society and Solitude number 5.
Yes, I caught the end of that, and then my internet was like, "That's enough."
Yeah, number 5 is fantastic.
Oh, so you heard nothing about what we said about
number 8's great. Look, okay, all the Hill Farmstead beers are great. No. All the Society and Solitudes are great. Number 5 is my favorite. Number 5 is my favorite. Society and Solitude.
So number 5's your number 2.
Number 5 is my number 2. There you
got
go.
it.
And my number 1. I'm going to see if Dave can guess my number 1 Vermont beer. Now, it's not a magnanimous double New England IPA. It's not, well, all of these.
It's one of the styles that John loves. Mm-hmm. If I'm right here, and if I'm right here, it's Long Trail's Double Bag.
There you go.
Do I know him or do I
took the bottle out for that.
Buddy. Oh, wow.
Long Trail.
And the thing is,
Double Bag.
When I heard what the top 3 was going to be, I'm like, Double Bag's getting mentioned.
Yeah, 100%. I'm a huge Sticka Alt fan. 100%.
Sticka Alt might be his number 1 style. Yeah. Every time Double Bag's got mentioned a few times on the show. I knew it was going to be on his list, and when 3 and 2 were not Double Bag, I'm like, here comes Double Bag.
There you go. You know, and in
Never
all honesty,
years would I have guessed Double Bag.
In all honesty, Dom, it's not as if Dave and I had a conversation about this before. That was 100%.
Fair enough. I believe you.
No, I know he loves Double Bag. I knew what he mentioned what the top 3 topic was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Double Bag's going to be on there.
Yeah, it's my number 1. I mean, it's just, technically, is it a better beer? Well, is it a better selling beer than Wizard or Society and Solitude or any foam double IPA? No. no way in hell is it a better selling beer than that.
Probably not.
But for me, it's my number one. So it's my number one because I can't put my actual number one on this list. There you go. All right.
So second is number one.
There you go.
Five is number.
I'll crack my second
Five is
fiddle
number.
after the show.
Five is number two.
There you go. Anyway, cool. All right, Dave. Back to Fiddlehead. You were talking to.
So here's a question for you, Dom.
Yeah.
When you look at the distribution that's out there, and let's face it, when COVID hit and everyone had to get their liquid out in cans, out into distribution, they sent their flagships out. The flagships are still out in a lot of those distributions. Some of them have drawn back for very good reasons, and rightfully so. And I applaud them for it, actually. Even though we've lost in New Jersey some beers that we love, we would rather see them survive and do without it in Jersey and find it other ways.
Sure.
But when it comes to Fiddlehead, and I was so happy to finally see Fiddlehead in New Jersey, we get Fiddlehead IPA, we get Second Fiddle, we get nothing else. So for those of us in all of those states that are not Vermont, talk about your catalog. What are the other things that Fiddlehead does other than these two world-class IPAs?
Sure. I mean, so the thing about that, and that kind of goes back to what I was saying a little bit earlier with like, let's not bite too much off the cookie.
Mastermind.
Oh, I know it. Don't get me wrong. But for me, like why you're seeing that is because again, those are the styles that kind of were the foundation of it all. They never necessarily lost their identity of what got them there. But at the same time, why allocate all these resources for something that's unproven? Right. So why would you move something, especially as far as somewhere like New Jersey? You're not talking about moving something to southern Vermont, where it goes on one truck and it gets down there. It's crossing all these different hands, and then eventually get to XZ distributor, then eventually get to XZ retailer, and then goes from there.
Oh, absolutely. Because as much as I'm enjoying this right now, the travel has diminished it.
And that's just the reality of it all.
But
to your point, when you come to Vermont and visit Fiddlehead, you'll see that they're just more than an IPA specific company, right? So currently on tap, just to Johnny's point, we have Mastermind, which is my favorite beer, and I couldn't say that because I had to figure out some other beers that I enjoy other than Fiddlehead. But it's more of a tropical style double IPA that, again, I feel like drinks more like a 5.5.
Which is where I was going when I said that
mango one.
Yeah.
So it's definitely much more. It has a little bit of mango in there, has a little bit more of a tropical style IPA, and a big part, I think, of what I love so much about Mastermind is the cause behind Mastermind, right?
Yeah.
So
right. Talk about that, yeah.
Yeah, 25% of all the proceeds of Mastermind goes to Team Mastermind, which is a fund that our owner and his wife have put together to benefit children's hospitals and other funds to benefit pediatric treatment. Mm-hmm. So literally a quarter of all those proceeds as a whole go towards that cause. Mm-hmm. So that is even a bigger driver to me as to why that beer is so good. To our points earlier, we just had our Mexican lager on, and I don't know, John, were you there when we had our Mexican lager on? Yeah. So like that's always a good one. We're doing a Pilsner now. We're doing a lager as well, more in the summer and the fall. We have our black lager on, which is our Eclipse beer that we had. Delicious.
And I think it's fantastic, Dave. The black lager.
It's so like for me, like I had.
Did they can it? Did you bring me any back?
So they had cans of it.
It was gone.
It was gone. It was gone in
it was gone.
Month. We probably had 500 cases of it, and it was gone.
I was there on April 27th. Obviously, it was canned prior to April 8th, prior to the eclipse. It was gone when I was there on April 27th.
And it's being brewed again.
I would have brought it back for you, Dave. I would have brought it back for me, and you would have had one. So.
For someone that's like my palate, kind of like bourbon, like I'm getting a little bit more apt to darker beers and like that darker profile of a roastier flavor. The black lager, and we still have it on tap. So again, another reason, Dave, why you should get up here, because you have it on tap, it goes through less of a process. But for me, that's another great beer for someone that's trying to get into darker beers, right? A dark lager is a nice roastier finish, but it's nice and crisp and easy drinking like a lager.
There's my check into it.
Exactly. Beer of totality.
Hey, John.
Yes. Well, I would have poured one in this glass and just carried it all week.
Oh, by the way, John, I'm really enjoying this second fiddle that I poured for you.
Don't worry, Dave. We'll double down when I grab my second fiddle here momentarily.
Your second fiddle.
So yeah, I mean, I think versus what you're seeing in distribution with Fiddlehead versus what you're seeing at the brewery, you're seeing much more, a lot of the creativity that you,
as it should be, as it is everywhere, right?
100%.
Yeah.
And I feel like, again, a lot of folks might see Fiddlehead as a IPA forward brand, which there's no problem with that. Obviously, those are the flagships that drive the brand.
It's the Motel 6 beers.
100%. It's your run of the mill, and I don't like using that lightly, but it's not a run of the mill beer at all. But it's I've enjoyed.
Please take.
I agree with you.
Please take that back. This is not a run of the mill beer.
No.
It's between what you said. I know what you're going for. Lights on beer. It's
100%. But to my second half of that statement is what I liked so much about the brand itself. And again, this is just coming from a part-time bartender that's kind of on the outside looking in with all the operations of it all. Right. Is that they pride themselves so much on quality. Mm-hmm. That if a beer is past a certain time frame on the shelves, they buy it back, they replace it with newer product. Any cans you're getting in our tasting room are canned no later than 2 weeks old. After that, they move out of the tasting room, go back to the brewery, get replaced with newer beer. Like, the quality, in my opinion, is unrivaled. Being in the industry as long as I have, it's one of those things where I start to notice things like canning dates and stuff like that.
Sure. And
for shits and giggles, I'll look at canning dates of some of these beers, and I'm like, okay, well, hey, I'm a price point guy. If I see that there's a 4-pack of IPAs on sale for $2.99, I'm not looking at the bottom of that can, if we're being honest.
Well, I'm looking at the bottom of your cans right here. And this is perfect because a second fiddle, because a double IPA is going to last a little longer than a single IPA. Mm-hmm. April 4th on the second fiddle, and we've got May 17th on Fiddlehead.
On the IPA. Yeah. So for a market that far,
that's perfect.
Seeing that beer is canned.
Wait, and Dave, when did you buy it? You bought that yesterday?
Yesterday.
So you bought that
about a month.
Canned, shipped to Jersey, and shipped to the retail outlet and sold to you within 1 month.
Within a month.
That's fantastic.
That's a win.
So that's my biggest thing. It's just like it's the quality. Like, as employees, we can't even take beer home that's older than 2 weeks old.
Really?
Like, no, I don't care if your friends are drinking it. If you're drinking it, I do not want you to drink my beer if it's canned later than 2 weeks. Which, hey, at the end of the day, like, it saddens me to see beer leaving the brewery that's only 16 days old that's been canned. But that then kind of goes to my second point, where I just appreciate that so much in terms of the quality assurance of, like, hey, I don't care, like, how much money we're spending on beer we're buying back. I want to make sure that, and I think that's also driven the loyalty of the brand.
Yep.
Yeah.
Some folks might not see it that way, but the folks that drink it as often as.
We'll put it this way: if you've got something, and we've discussed this on the show before. Mm-hmm. Because we've seen it happen where you've got something, you've got a shelf turd, you've got something that sat there longer than it should because the retailer has not done their due diligence and pulled it, and it's been sitting there too long. So now someone comes in, they don't know better. They don't know to read the bottom of the cans.
Right.
They grab a 4-pack. Oh, this is new. I want to try this. I've heard people talk about this brewery. They take one sip of the beer. It's an IPA that's been sitting on that shelf for 7 months. Mm-hmm. They take one sip of that beer, and now they think that brewery is garbage. because all these processes, all these things that should have happened, never happened.
Right.
And that's the sad part is
which
every brewery, even the distributor, can do whatever they do in their due diligence.
And this is
but also the retailers.
Right, but this is my point. It's not just the retailers. It's slotting in the middle. It's distribution, right? Yeah. When you have distribution. Now, here's the thing. Okay, put yourself in a distributor's mindset, right? If you're a sales rep in a distributor for a distributor, okay, and you have a retail outlet that wants to take, give me 8 cases of this beer. It's fantastic. Right?
Are you going to sell 8 cases?
Are you going to say no? I only want to give you 2, right? You're going to sell. No, you got to sell, right? 8 cases, great. Boom, I'm making this money. Boom, 8 cases go out. They're going to sell through 4 of them in a week. They're going to sell through the next 2 in the next 3 weeks, and then the other 2 are going to sit on the shelf for however long, right? That's where you're going to get those beers on the shelf that have been sitting there for 3 months, 4 months, and the dissolved oxygen in the cans, the DO in the can,
and you're going to start getting sales attrition.
Right. So I personally sell. I want to sell beer. If it's a bigger store, they're getting 2 cases. If they run out in a week, they run out in a week. They can get 2 cases next week.
Right.
If it's a small store, they're getting 1 case of one brand. They're getting 1 case. And the small store will run out of that 1 case in 2 weeks, and then they can get another case of that one brand. They're not getting 8 cases at a clip. But that's the problem that Dom's talking about. Yeah. And the problem you're mentioning is the distribution. And I mean no ill will towards any distributors.
And you know what?
It's the sales reps that see and it's a mistake from the sales reps, yes, but it's also a mistake from the buyer at the retail outlet, right? Give me 8 cases of that. It's going to sell. No, you're not getting 8 cases at a clip. You're getting a smaller amount, and then you get more next week.
The best way to mitigate this?
What's that?
VIP. You can run. You can
run something.
Anybody listening to the audio podcast has to tune in to Dom's face at 1 hour, 37 minutes, and 10 seconds.
Seriously, this is one of the things that VIP was made for, is to show the brewer what beers you have out there, what shelves they're sitting on, how long they've been sitting there, who's selling it, who's not, what's the dead stock,
yeah.
Right? And to what Dom said earlier, this is why I was questioning him on this. You can run customized reports to tell you and show you what's sitting out there that has not sold, that you need to pull off those damn shelves before your reputation takes a hit.
I would rather buy a case of beer back from a retail outlet than leave it sit there, because the damage that 1 case is going to do is far exceeds the money me spending to buy that 1 case back.
So here's a prime example. Prime example. I was at a very well-known liquor store chain, and they had John's beer on the shelf, and it was not a beer that lasts long. And I sent a picture of it to John. I said, "This is on their shelf."
This is a long time ago, by the way. I just want to point out.
A long time ago, and John's like, "We haven't brewed that in this long. That needs to be pulled off the shelf." Mm-hmm. And what did they do? They went to them and they bought the beer back.
Yep. Yeah. And now a sales rep would have gone out and noticed that, but Dave was able to circumvent that and was able to let me know that beforehand. And a sales rep went right there and, hey, we're taking that back. So because that particular store, which will remain nameless, would have left it on the shelf and sold it.
Because that store usually does a damn good job on this stuff. Mm-hmm. I don't know what happened. There was some disconnect.
No. I could tell you what happened right then, without mentioning the name of the store. And this happens too. And there's a reason. Thank you for bringing it up. There's a reason too. There are some chains, obviously not mom and pops. There are some chains that will buy an excessive amount of beer, and they will put it in their overflow, and they'll put it in their back stock. when they actually order more, they won't sometimes take into consideration what they have in overflow, and they'll order more beer in, fresher stuff, and they'll put it on the shelf. And all of a sudden, those old cases are sitting in the back, and they're not putting them out. And then all of a sudden, 6 months later, oh crap, we have this. Let's put that out on the shelf. No,
Hey, we just,
and again, that's their fault, and we'll still buy it back because we want to make sure that we get.
It's a restocking thing where Bob, little Bobby, who just got his first job, goes out. Oh, we're out of stock on this,
or he doesn't want to get on the tall ladder and go up and get the cases off the top and bring them down.
Yeah, something along those lines. But no, but to the point, analytics will.
Because you can share these, and you can share these with the accounts too, and you can see like what's moving 100%. And everything else, and say, hey, look, this is moving, this isn't. Let's focus on this beer and not this beer.
100%. Yeah, 100%. Back to kind of like that brand identity thing that I was saying earlier.
Yeah,
just like, hey, I mean, listen, you're a chain of 50 accounts in this area. 47 chains have moved through 100 cases this last week. Why not?
Right
at that point.
100%.
It's up to the supplier at that point to understand that why not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, to your point, do you want to give them 8 cases or do you want to give them 2 cases?
Right.
Sell through that and then rebuy.
I'd rather give you 2 cases and then run out and give them next week
and
2
then
cases.
Give you another
run out.
100%. 100%.
I want you to run out. I don't want you to not order from me for 4 weeks because you bought too much.
Exactly.
I'd rather stop there every week with 2 cases.
In logistics term, and I'm in logistics, you want it to be a pull system, not a push system.
100%.
Right. A pull system means you're reacting to demand, rather than pushing out because of supply.
Right. In the beer industry, we use pull through.
Yeah.
We don't use push through.
Yeah. You're just adding the word through to what I said.
Right.
That's all you're doing.
So, yeah, 100%. So, yeah, that it's, hey, look, you know what? It's important to keep fresh beer in front of people.
Yes.
100%.
And if your beer is stale and that's the first example they've had of your beer, are they buying your stuff again? No. They're not going to.
Not at all. And that's why for me, everybody's different, but for me, nobody's getting more than 2 cases at a clip. Now, if I do see if I see a place that's selling through beer, like I give them 2 cases on a Wednesday, and I wonder how he's going.
It might be could be a potty break.
I think it's a potty break. Yeah. I give them 2 cases on a Wednesday, and by Friday they're out of it.
Oh, and they're going to pay you for 2 cases on Thursday. Gladly.
Tuesday for a hamburger today, right? Yeah. If they get delivered 2 cases on a Wednesday and they're out of it by Friday, yes, that in that case I'll go up to 3 cases. That kind of thing. Because I don't want to, because I'm losing business.
Right.
But if their 2 cases last till Sunday night, I'm fine with not giving them, not having any beer in stock for those 2 for Monday and Tuesday.
You also have to keep your retail accounts in mind. Whereas if you've got a beer that's in high demand, and someone keeps coming to that retail account and they're always sold out.
That's my point. I want to get through the weekend. If I can make it to Monday, if at Monday at some point it's sold out, and Tuesday and they're getting their delivery on Wednesday, they're getting 2 cases. If those 2 cases are sold out by Friday afternoon, they're getting 3 cases. If when they get to 3 cases, it's sold out by Saturday morning, they're getting 4 cases.
Yeah,
I want to get through the weekend. That's what I want to get through.
My current conundrum. I can't find my favorite beer right now.
I know.
And I'm not going
to try to do that to John. Sorry.
Thank you.
There we go.
And they cut the camera off and run to the fridge really quick.
Yeah. But yeah, no.
You didn't want us to see that you weren't wearing pants. I got it.
That's what. No pants Tuesday is your thing, Dave.
It's amazing how many of our guests don't wear pants.
So I never show my camera during conference calls. I'm like,
there you go. That's it. There you go.
The camera's broken.
I don't know if we've had more guests who don't wear pants or started off on a Mr. Beer system.
Mr. Beer.
I think more people. Yeah, more Mr. Beers. When we have brewers on, it's like, how'd you get into brewing? Oh, well, I got a Mr. Beer system for Christmas one year. That is so common on this show.
So, Dom,
is that just a very general like homebrew system?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So it's a stovetop homebrew system. It's your intro into homebrewing is Mr. Beer, right? So we have a guest every August, the end of August every year. We have Brian Boak. He used to own Boak's Brewing. Boak's Brewing is no longer in business, but he was
Boak's Brewing.
Boak's Brewing. Boak's Brewing. Boak's Brewing. Boak's Brewing. I didn't say it. You heard it differently. Anyway, you did. Anyway, he comes on and we do an NFL kickoff tailgate show kind of thing.
Okay.
Kickoff NFL season.
Just another show where we allow sports to take over the big podcast.
Pretty much, right? But he started on a Mr. Beer system.
Yes, he did. He's one of New Jersey's OGs.
Yeah, he is.
No, that's awesome to hear.
Yeah.
I just couldn't imagine like fermenting anything on my stove. That'd be a little intimidating.
Oh yeah.
You boil in the stove and you ferment it in the closet.
Yeah, you put it in the carboy, put it in the closet. Done.
And the thing is, because anybody who's done homebrew has read Charlie Papazian's book, and so everybody who's learned off Charlie Papazian's book will have a carboy in the closet with a T-shirt on it. Because that's what he tells you to do, and that lock on it is. And
I never put a T-shirt on any of my carboys. I never did. It was dark enough in my closet. It was fine.
I put a T-shirt on my carboy in my first batch and my second.
I close my door. Why do I need a T-shirt?
I don't. Because Charlie said so.
I know. I get it.
It's the aesthetic. Got to be the aesthetic.
And the next one, if I ever homebrew again, I'm going to put a Hawaiian shirt on right on it, just so that it's got some panache, some style.
A little panache.
But the and you got the airlock on there, and you don't fill it with water because we know that water contains bacteria, so you fill your airlock with vodka.
Oh.
That's what I always did. That's what a lot of people did with that.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, I mean, neutral spirits, right? So you fill your airlock with vodka. Yeah, that's it's the easiest thing to do. So you're gonna. It's just gonna separate the, the blow off. Is all you have to do.
All you need is the carbon dioxide, the excess carbon dioxide, and all the other kind of stuff that the yeast produces to bubble up through. And you need that barrier, and you don't want it to be water because water can introduce bacteria downwards into your brew. So
there's always bacteria in water.
Yeah.
So,
like they say, in wine there is wisdom, in beer there is courage, in water there is bacteria.
Right.
That sounds tattoo worthy.
Quite literally.
Is that across your back or what's going on?
No, I think Yoda said that.
That's
a Yoda quote.
There's wisdom.
Wisdom in wine there is.
No. Wisdom in wine there is.
Strength in beer there is. Bacteria there is. In water there is.
Frank Oz. You gotta love it.
He was awesome.
Anyway.
But I would ask what's like next for Fiddlehead, but you guys seem to be kind of dialed in as to what you're doing, and it's pretty much just keeping course, or is there changes coming up? Anything new, exciting?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I mean, learning a lot of this kind of on the outside looking in, I think a lot of the big push recently, we're getting into a lot of the sports arenas. So that's been a huge push.
Oh, really? Cool.
So
now are you in the link?
No, unfortunately not. No, not quite. So
that's a bit of a reach.
So about that, so they're at TD Garden. They're in Fenway this upcoming year. They are going to be one of the main concourse craft beers at Foxborough.
Oh, cool.
So that was big. and they just got into Citizens Bank Park. So what's right across the street from Citizens Bank Park is the Link. So
yeah, I'm aware. I've been
sooner than later, hopefully.
And I actually have had a Fiddlehead IPA at Citizens Bank Park. I have.
Fair enough. So yeah, they're at
you're not in Pittsburgh, or you're not.
No, not quite. I think they're trying to really kind of infiltrate Philadelphia.
Okay, so I can't have a.
I wonder whose idea that was.
Just your common citizen.
There you
go. No,
common citizen. Okay,
yeah,
so next time Dom comes on, we have to have his moniker as common
citizen. There you
go. But no, they just launched Delaware. Very, very hesitant to launch Delaware, but that was because the Philly market was relatively launched recently. So it wasn't like it was one of those things where like they just don't want to over launch, because again,
I mean, North Delaware is Philadelphia, so I mean,
right, 100%. I mean, it's across the bridge, and you're there, almost just like Jersey and Philly. You're pretty much right there. So
it is true. It depends on where you're at in Jersey, because it depends on where you are in Jersey. In North Jersey, you're in New York, but in South Jersey, you're in Philly. So
yeah, you're in Philly.
Yeah. John's in Philly. I'm in New York.
Right.
Fair enough. So exactly. So I think that's kind of been the big push. Is kind of expanding to hesitantly, though. Like, I mean, even Delaware was kind of a stretch, but it's because the Philly push, I think, kind of drove that Delaware decision. And that's just kind of my opinion on that.
So you're in the racetrack, or?
No, not yet. Not that I'm aware of.
It's in general distribution in Delaware.
General distribution in Delaware.
Oh, I thought we were talking about sports arenas again, or?
So that was the big push to get into Philly, I'm assuming. But realistically, again, going back to the original moniker of Fiddlehead, is they're an on-premise brand. So most of the accounts you're going to be seeing in these areas, in these bigger cities, really are pushing towards the on-premise type. And then naturally from there, when folks see the on-premise success, the off-premise accounts are naturally going to come in an area that's not used to seeing Fiddlehead, right?
Right.
So if you see an on-premise account, say, oh my God, well, this craft beer is at Citizens Bank Park, or it's at Wells Fargo Center, or it's at Lincoln Financial as the craft option, you're going to have folks either at the game that have off-premise accounts. They're going to say, I need to start carrying this beer because it's getting the exposure. I think that's the big part. You're not getting into those stadiums making money. You're not telling these people at these stadiums, you're not going to Fenway Park and saying, hey, you're going to pay this much for my beer. That's just not how it works. You're going to say, hey, you're exposed to 100 million sets of eyes every single year. Well, this is what we're going to pay for your beer, and then you're going to get the free marketing that comes along with being in Fenway. So I think that's kind of the push behind these markets that, again, I don't really know what the plan is. It's just me kind of understanding it from an outside perspective. It's like, hey, get my eyes on my brand at these stadiums. Let it be one of the 5 selections you have at these stadiums that have 80,000 people there inside per week during this time of year.
Sure.
That pays for itself.
It's an interesting sales strategy because you have a captive audience, right? You don't always have a huge selection at a sports event or sports venues. So if you've got this captive audience, they now like, I want to try something different. Let me try this. As long as you've got that support in the area around that stadium where these people are coming from, now you're starting to see a better margin in what you're selling and a better success in your distribution.
Right.
That's a neat sales strategy.
And I also think that people also buy a lot on association. I mean, you see this now a whole lot with like these influencer brands where you know damn well that the product might not be that good, but hey, this person's affiliated with it, so people that are a fan of that person are naturally going to buy that product.
Sure. And so, hey, we're
the craft beer of the Boston Red Sox, or we're the craft beer selection of, or not even that, but we're the local craft beer selection of so said. You know, not necessarily Boston. I mean, you got Boston Beer Company and all that shit, but you know what I'm saying? Like, people buy on association over quality, which is not necessarily a problem.
The local craft beer option of St. Michael's.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay. You know, or, hey, we are the local beer of Monmouth College. Naturally, hey, I'm a Monmouth College alum. I'm going to go to Craft Brew Works.
How does he know about Monmouth College?
One of my best friends and roommates is from Rumson.
Oh, okay.
Which is
so,
literally on the other side of the river from the brewery. So then,
right. So that's kind of how I know that. But again, to my point is there's so many exterior factors of what makes someone want to buy a beer.
Right.
They might not buy on flavor. They might not buy on type. They buy so much nowadays, especially with the blow up of social media and affiliation. You get one person that's known across several different demographics to endorse a brand. And I see it all the time with these brands that are endorsed by famous people. I've had a bunch of them. Yeah, the quality might not be that good, but they're selling 1 million cases a year for what? Because this guy told you to.
Yeah. 100%.
Now, is that sustainable? I don't know. And that's not my problem to figure out if
it depends on how long he can stay in the public eye.
Right. Exactly. And
we know how fickle the public opinion is.
Right. You say one,
and all you need is one scandal, and everything's undermined.
Done. There you go.
Might as well call your product now.
So, kind of like to my point of like why that approach might be seen as effective. It's like, hey, you're getting eyes on the brand.
Yeah.
That gets people interested. Now, does that turn into sales or not? That's what
100%.
But my whole thing is
have the marketing, have the draw, have the niche market in different markets, not just one market. But most importantly, have the liquid.
Mm-hmm.
That's
quality.
By far above anything else. You can have one of all of those and make some money, but if you have all of those and the liquid, you're good to go.
Which is important because what
100% important.
Which was Don was saying is if it's endorsed by somebody and that's the reason it's selling and the only reason it's selling,
sure,
that's a house of cards,
of course.
But if it's actually a good product,
right. That's where you win. That's where you win. If you get the endorsement and you have the niche and you have the market and you have everything
and
the liquid.
And all of a sudden the endorsement runs dry for one reason or another.
Doesn't matter. Liquid's the most important thing of all of them.
Already introduced yourself to the people like, okay, I don't care. This guy we don't care about anymore, but
the liquid's still good.
God damn.
The flavor drives itself.
Mm-hmm. You need, but like Dom said, you need the exposure first.
Right.
If you get the exposure, you get that awareness, you get that visibility of it, and people then start drinking and going, "Wow, this is damn good."
Sure.
Then what drove them there in the first place? If your product's good enough, becomes irrelevant.
Exactly.
But also, that's going to keep them there.
Yeah.
Because how important is one buy? I mean, let's be honest here. I mean, that's just as good as a sampling. Yeah. That's going to create a rebuying customer that's going to identify now with that brand. You just have created a whole different type of relationship with that one consumer that's then going to widespread due to that commitment to quality.
100%.
So 100%. That is kind of what I enjoy so much. And again, this is someone that, I'm just a part-time bartender at Fiddlehead, but I've gotten so much of that feel working with those guys there, and it's just something that
you're just a common citizen.
You can appreciate it. Yeah.
Common citizen.
A common citizen. Hey, you guys keep using that. You better give me my 5%. That's all I need. That's all I care about at that point.
Yeah.
Okay, which is great because 5% of zero is still zero, Dom.
Very
even
true.
Even Apple was $1 at one point in time. Give me a break here. Give me a break.
It was fair enough, and your lips to God's ears, 100%. There you go. Yeah, absolutely. All right, Dom. Thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. Really appreciate it. I mean, 100% one of our best shows in a long time. It's so good. We thank you, and definitely want to have you back at some point. We'll talk about it after we're done.
Absolutely,
schedule something in the future.
I got a wedding that I'm planning here. I'm getting married on September 6th. So
are you really? Congratulations!
Wait, you're getting married on Friday, September 6th this year.
That is Eagles Packers, baby. Come on,
it's Eagles Packers. Okay.
I planned it relatively accordingly. Thursday is the welcome party, so that is going to be the opening night. Sunday is when everyone's leaving the resort, and that's obviously opening day of football. So you know what's going on.
Well, I know what's going on because next year in 2025, my daughter is getting married on Saturday, September 6th.
Okay.
So on your 1 year anniversary, my daughter will be getting married. So
there you go.
I love that. I love that. Well, all you get is college football, buddy.
Yeah, I know.
You might get Alabama versus like Johnston.
It's
like
the beginning of the football season. It's
Arkansas
the big boys.
State versus Oklahoma.
I think I'll be.
Like that.
I'm an Oklahoma fan, and I agree with that statement because it's the big boys just beating the shit out of them.
I was born in Eugene, Oregon, buddy. We got probably Hawaii. That it's just a reality. Might have Idaho on a good week or Wyoming.
I was gonna say you didn't watch Boise. I mean, come on.
Or Corvallis State, yeah.
All my buddies that went to Oregon State would hate that you said that. Yeah, welcome to Corvallis State.
How many Ducks fans you have? How many Ducks fans friends you have?
I have one.
So the thing is with my family, my mother went to Oregon State. My dad was a big Oregon guy, so I've always been an Oregon guy. My mom's been at Beaver, but there were a few for all the kids that I would say weren't as sharp were Beavers, and the kids that were as sharp but not that sharp at the same time somehow got into Oregon. So we'll call it that.
The Oregon Ducks, one of the only sports teams that is allowed to use a Disney character as their logo.
Yeah.
All I gotta say is we look great losing. the best jerseys in the country.
Well, the thing is,
we look good, but I don't know if we win.
Here's the whole thing about Oregon. They were the first college to come up with. Okay, we've got these 5 possible pants.
I was looking for a Mets cap to show you. Hey, we look good losing too.
Yeah, we lose a lot. We've got these 7 possible jerseys. We've got these 6 possible helmets. And let's just and the team gets to decide what they're wearing that week.
There you go.
They were the first one to do it. Other teams do it now. And when Maryland did it, it was really just awful because it just looked like the Maryland flag threw up on them.
Okay.
But
that's the lacrosse school. We're not talking about those guys.
But the Ducks perfected it, and
we're Nike town, baby. We have the money to. Might as well.
Oh yeah, because the founder of Nike went to Oregon, so he just pumped so much money into there, and that's why they have this option.
Like I said, if we're gonna lose, we're gonna look the best doing it. That's all I care about.
Exactly.
And you guys win more than you lose.
That's true. That's true.
It's true.
Like my team wins more than they lose, but they lose the big ones, and that's Oklahoma.
That's true.
Boomer Sooner.
Boomer Sooner. There it is. For those
for a second.
Yeah, you did it wrong for a second. Those who are only listening, we were doing the horns down because the Sooners' arch rivals are Texas, so you gotta put the horns down on that.
Gotta.
Fair enough. All right. Like I said, Tom, thanks for coming on. We'll talk after the show. We'll definitely reschedule something because it's been amazing. We want to, at this point, however, it wouldn't be a show without a siren.
That's an ambulance.
That's an ambulance.
A siren or a beer? Oh, sorry.
Oh, my God.
Oh, here they are. Here they are.
Yeah, one for each of you. There you
go. These are beautiful.
I'm aware.
Thanks for having me on.
I am aware.
That was amazing.
Oh, thanks for coming on. Thanks for coming on. Yeah, definitely get back on. All right. We want to thank everybody for watching the show today. We want to thank everybody for watching. And for those of you just listening to the audio podcast, thanks for listening. Don't forget to visit our website.
Yes, this is a podcast.
This is a podcast, yeah. Don't forget to visit our website, www.lagerroom.com. That's LAGERROOM.com. Please remember, like I said, follow us on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course our YouTube channel. All of them are at The Lager Room. Remember, we go live with the video podcast on Facebook, YouTube, X, and Twitch every Tuesday night around 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Depending on computers,
a lot of technical issues.
And technical issues
today, okay?
Exactly.
I know I got to rob in the dough.
It's all good. And for those of you who just want to listen to the audio podcast, you can do so on our audio host, Spreaker, as well as iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Odyssey, Audible, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music Podcast, TuneIn, Podcast Addict, CastBox, Deezer, Podchaser, Listen Notes. Pretty much anywhere you can find an audio podcast, you will find the Lager Room Guys Craft Beer Podcast. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to one or more of those feeds, and you will never miss a show. Again, thanks for following along with us. Have a great rest of your week. Have a wonderful weekend. Dom, once again, thanks for coming on. Amazing show. Awesome show tonight. Thank you so much. We'll have you back. Guys, drink a lot of beer, but drink responsibly. And we will talk to you soon, folks. Take care. Cheers.
Cheers.
I wish.
Yeah.
More in these cans.
Keep it up. There you
Look at these.
go. I know.
Keep rotating these.